Hi everybody, it's Colin here from Colin's Engage. So this is just an update to show you phase 1 is done. So I'll explain what I've been up to. Right, we're just going to test the wiring on my detection blocks, and we're going to use this 37. It is on the second line, the one furthest away. That is the pit which will be in the shed, and was the shed originally, and that's still be in the shed. The very back end is outside the shed. Now, those indicators were already there because the shed was on those two lines, but because I'm moving it over, I'm keeping the detectors in the right place, but I've had to rewire it up because, as you can see, the shed, which are those two lines, didn't have the indicators in yet. I hadn't got round to it. Where that mark is there, that's where the indicators were before on those two, but because I'm moving it over, I'm now using them two as the first two nearest that purple colour, which you can hardly tell, but I know it's purple. So we'll get the train going. So there she is there. There she starts to go. And it'll hit the first zone. The green is the point. And there it indicates it's in the first zone. It'll go into the second, which is the pit, which will be in the shed. It's off the first zone now. It'll go into the third zone, which is still in the shed, and it's off the pit area. So I know the pit lane will be clear to put a train in. So there she is there. So if we take her out again, get her going. Yep, there she goes. She'll go into the pit zone. So she's in 2 and 3 at the moment. She's in just the 2, which is the pit. It'll go into the first, which she's come out of the shed when it is there. It is fully out of the shed, and then that light will go off because it'll be going over the point, and then it's gone out of that zone. So there we have it. It's there. So that's that bit of wiring up. So now I'm going to wire this nearest line and put the droppers in. The droppers are actually there, but I just need to connect it all up. So that's the next job. And drill the holes in that first orange line under those what we've just tested. Well, the lights are on now in the TMD, and in the pit everything works, checked. You can see them through the glass at the top. So there's 2 in each. There's a couple of engines in, just demonstrating. You can just see, I think that's the 37 there. And there is, you see the top of the shed, it's called, the 66, the exhaust bit. and also it's indicating up here that the 37 is in 2 zones and the 66 is in 1 zone. The only thing I haven't done yet is the point. Now I went to the exhibition at the weekend. I've got this remote control so I can set it up now. That's going to be probably the next thing I do. Right, the first phase, move the TMD yard. The 2 lines what were here in between the shed and that line to the right, they've gone. They're now on that side. The TMD yard has stayed mainly in the same place. The only thing what's changed is the extension of these 2 tracks. It was so my card so my actual card here finishes on the straight, certainly on that track there before the curve into this point. It made a neater job of how I do the card work. All the lights are on inside for the pits and the lights inside as well. Okay, I've got to do some weathering, I've got some fencing to put up here, but generally it is done, and everything else, the ballasting and things like that to put in. And on the control panel, everything is working. The point motors, you name it, the lights, the block detectors are all working, and I had to just put in that piece to indicate the left hand point of that 3-way point. So that is all done. I can now start on phase 2. I'm not going to do any scenic work yet in this area. It was just to get the space down there. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm just going to go through a few ways of how I've done it. So I'll be back in a second. Right, this is just to show you how I've done this piece to make it look like solid ground round the track for the TMD yard area. I use card of about 1.5 thick. It is black. It is black because in my area they don't do it in grey. Do it in loads of colours, every colour you could wish for, but not grey. So I've picked this colour, and if I want to make it concrete colour, I'll paint it, or I might just leave it how it is. I'm quite happy. So this 1.5 goes down against the sleepers, and that, when stuck down with rocket card glue, sticks to my installation. It's virtually the same thickness of the sleepers. It's within a fraction. And on top of that, I actually use thinner card. It's about 0.5 mil. And I push that right up. As you know, the shape of the track, it has a little inset in the middle. The foot of the metal sits on the sleeper, and then it thins up. Then the head, what the actual wheel drives on, is wider, but that actually pushes into that slot, and it just sits on top of the chairs what hold the track down along the edge, and it allows the track itself to stick up a fraction. I have tried it with the card flush, but the trains are that light it loses contact with the track, so it is slightly below, and when I or you look at it, if you was here or on camera, it looks like it's flush here, and it's just stopping that moving, but it is so minute the eye doesn't really see it. The rocket glue, as I said, sticks to my insulation. The top card sticks to that card absolutely fine, as you can appreciate. And the other reason for having it to the straight, it makes it easier. The last one, my card, I was cutting round the corner, and to make it out of one, it just made it a little bit more tricky. It looked alright, but I wasn't 100% happy, so I wanted to ballast up to that point and down the side here in this area to the left, which you can't see over there, and then the solid working area for getting on with the job. And in between, I just put in a thin piece of card, stick it down, and the rocket card glue sticks the paper to the track. Easy as wink. And I make that 6mm to allow enough space for the flanges of the wheels to go in between the rails and the card. And it works and it looks good. I'm happy with it. There are other ways to do it, but that is my way. So that's how I did that. Right, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to make the point move once you've got the servo in. Now, I'm doing mine so they cut into the board. So it's a hole like that, and then the arm goes from the servo to the point. Now I'm doing them like that because I don't want to be on my hands and knees underneath, and that was one of the advantages for using this board and plasterboard. I can just cut it in and it's there, and that gets covered by some tape, double-sided tape. I can ballast over it, do anything I like over it, and if I need to get in, I can just break into it and redo it. But there's no reason why they should go wrong. The only thing you have to do is when you bend this metal at this end, is not just to have a 90-degree bend on. It's best to take it back on itself slightly so it's holds itself up within, once it's in that hole, so it doesn't just drop straight down. That wire is below the ground, so it doesn't get interfered with. But this is this little remote control. I know it's done by a wire, but it's remote control for me because I don't have to get on the floor. And plus the fact you can't see if it's under the board if you add to it, like I'm only on 0.8 remotely on my control panel. you can't see underneath what's happening to the point because you have to set the movement up. If you just plug your servo into the panel and there's power to it, it'll centralize. And then you screw the arm to that, and then you know it's not going to try and do anything silly if you put that arm in a wrong place and move it, because there is a good range on a servo. So what you then do, even though this point is set up, if I press the button on the control panel, if I can hold the camera while I press the button, that everything's in the same place, it moves, and my indicator on the control panel says it's going to the left, and if I press it again it goes back. So what you do is press the program button, and what will happen is that'll activate the points, and that is point 1. The first press of the program is point 1, and then this point, what we're looking at, is point 4. So if I press it another 3 times, 1, 2, 3, you see it move? Right, so now that motor, that servo there, is under my control using this. Now if you press the high, now I know this is the high, moves the point, wherever, that point arm that way. So if I press this high, you'll see it, and if you just press it slowly, it goes over, and when you stop, it remembers. Then you press the low until it comes back. Now I'm sorry about the wavy, it's coming back and it's there. Now to get out of this, there are 12 servos can be connected to a panel, a servo panel. You have to come out of it by pressing the program the rest of the way. So 4 from 12 is 8, plus 1 to go back into automatic mode. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1 to come out. And it's set. So that point at the moment is going straight on. If I look at my control panel, there it is. That light means it's going straight on. So if I press the button, what was in front of that green light, it will now work again, and that is now going to the left, and you can see this on the panel. And what happens when you press the button, the flash, and then change, so it's now straight on. So that's as easy as it gets, and it helps having that unit. So there's other things you can do with this, but for setting it up, it just made a huge difference. So all it takes me, I've timed it, and from start, once I've made the metal arm, now the metal arm can be any length, but once I've made the actual arm with the bends on, I'm having a fresh piece of board to start on. It takes me 3 minutes. I have to cut a hole, I have to drill a hole for that end to go through the board, and then I put a length of wire from the servo board to an end which is underneath, which is that end, and it has a female end what connects onto it. Press the buttons on here, and because I'm not holding a camera I can get on with it. Set it, finished. Great. So that's how you use that little piece of engineering to move and set the servo up with the points. And it's the same if you work it with in double O. If that servo is the same size on double O, but basically it's underneath, but mine is on top. But if you wanted to stick them on top and cover them with a building, you could do if you had a layout with only a couple of points in. Some people just have little ones from end to end. So that's that in use, and it's brilliant. So that's phase 1 complete, and I hope they were interesting little bits of information of how I do things. Any questions, please leave them in the comments. Any opinions of how or why I do it, please ask. The only way we can help each other is to talk to each other in the comments. And any new people, please subscribe, and everybody else hit the like, and I'll let you know as I go on with phase 2, which is moving that line there over towards the TMD.